and welcome to Tools to Create a Better Life with myself, Glenyce Hughes. Thank you so much for being here. I am so incredibly grateful for you. Now, if you're watching this on video, you will see a beautiful scenery behind me. I am at Land's End, which is the most southerly west point in England. Apparently, if you just kept going that way, you would run into Canada. So there's nothing between us. I mean, I'm sure there's lots, but in terms of land. So it's kind of a cool place to be at. It's also extremely beautiful. If I could get down closer, I would. However, it's not so safe to do that. So here we are. And if you're not watching this on video, of course you can find it on video, or you could just listen to those waves. I'm hoping my microphone will pick them up for you. So, tools to receive even more. Yeah. So as you guys know, we've been traveling around England for a few weeks now. It's about mid-October at time of recording. I know this won't air until the end of October, but we have been going to all sorts of different places and really just being there. And it's not always been easy. It certainly has been ease though. And so for more about that, you might want to check out last week's show because I shared a lot about choosing ease with all of this. And one of the things that I haven't really spoke about, I have put on social media and I did send out an email with a little bit about it, was that shortly before we left, we actually had to say goodbye to our sweet kitty Toddy, which was very difficult. And it was really this space of letting her choose. She had got pancreatitis again, and this is something both her and 𝘗𝘳𝘯𝘳𝘰𝘯𝘕, her brother that we had to put down a couple of years ago, would get every once in a while. And yeah, so with that, we've been talking for years about when she's no longer with us. Now, I never ever expected that no longer with us would be so soon. She was only 11, so kind of expected at least 5 or 6 more years with her. And so with this and her going before we left, when we got here, one of the things that we've been talking about for a long time is to sell everything at home and just travel the world, house sitting or pet sitting, or just travel the world. Just have kind of no home, no nothing that we have to, be aware of with those sorts of things. And so we got here and we started looking at, well, what if it's now? Like, what if it's now? And part of this, to me, receiving from everything is also receiving Toddy's choice in going now, and not receiving it meaning I'm okay with it and I'm happy about it, like not that, but just the willingness to actually receive it, just to be present with it. And one day I'll tell the whole story of the magic, just not today because we won't get very far and I will just be crying, but one day I will tell the magic of all of that, but really just receiving it. And one of the things that I do, one of the tools that I use to receive even more is barriers down, barriers down, barriers down. All levels, layers, lifetimes, universes, realities, barriers down. And I energetically push the barriers down. So say with something like Toddy and choosing to say goodbye to her, afterwards, I could go into all this crazy about it, like, oh, what if I didn't, oh, what if, like that. And all of those are barriers. All of those are walls up to actually receiving, just receiving it. And receiving doesn't mean making it good or bad or right or wrong. That's actually judgment. So just receiving it. And so what I would recognize, there's a helicopter going over top, is that when I wasn't receiving it, when I was going into the inventions and the stories and the upset, I would go to barriers down, barriers down, barriers down, and really energetically push those barriers down and receive it. Just receive it. And, you know, we can use this in all sorts of things because there could be situations in your life where, maybe you had an upset with somebody years ago and you still play with the crazy of it or the inventions or the stories of it. What if you just took a moment and dropped those barriers and received it? But please remember, receiving is not making it right or wrong or good or bad. That's where a lot of times, especially with what I've done in the past, so for years before Access Consciousness, I played a lot with the secret, the law of attraction, which was a lot of, at least the way I was doing it, a lot of making things right and good and bad and wrong. And the bad and wrong you were supposed to push away or pretend weren't there, and the right and good you were supposed to, make really significant. And at least that's how I did it. I don't mean that's how everybody's doing it, but that's how I did it. And so really recognizing that when we receive something, we actually just receive it with no judgment whatsoever. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's not good, it's not bad, it just is. And there's so much space with that. There's so much space with that. Like when especially at the time when I was at home with Toddy in the time before the vet was arriving, just receiving it. And then after the vet left, just receiving it. And again, it was a lot of through tears, absolutely. And there's been many since. Might even be some here now. And tears aren't right or wrong or good or bad. Tears are, a lot of times, it's our body's way of releasing what we've stored, what we've in a sense kind of bottled up and brought a bunch of barriers around us, so to speak. And so sometimes people will go, oh no, I'm not conscious, I'm crying because so-and-so died or whatever. It's like, that's not unconscious, that's just allowance. And it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to be to have tears. There's no right or wrong or good or bad. Ultimately, there's no right or wrong or good or bad. And in grieving, there is nothing. There's nothing to say what grieving should be or shouldn't be, or the right way to grieve or the wrong way to. There's nothing. It's just, you just got to be an allowance of it and receive it. Receive it. So tool number 1 is the barriers down. I've been using a lot. The other tool that I've been using, and this isn't so much related to Toddy and saying goodbye to her sweet body, this is more just as we've been going around England, and at sometimes it's like, I'm kind of done living out of a suitcase and the tiny roads and all this. It kind of get like, I'm just done with this. And so what I ask is, what gratitude could I be here? Not what gratitude could I be for England or for Rodney or for, which is hubby for anybody who hasn't heard his real name, but I usually call him hubby, for any, like, not for something or someone, but what gratitude can I be here? Like, what gratitude can I be here? And man, I'll tell you what, that to me at least has been shifting my receiving of whatever it is. If it is driving in the car and going down a little tiny road and it just, what gratitude can I be here? It's like, yeah. And it just shifts everything. And I don't have to define it. I don't have to figure out what gratitude I can be here. I just get to be gratitude in that moment, which truly, how does it get any better than that? It's that energy. To me, it's the energy of us. We be gratitude. We be walking, talking, energetic gratitude. And a lot of times what we're doing is we're separating. We're making things right and wrong and good and bad. And then we're separating. And then there's no space for gratitude. You can't have gratitude and judgment in the same spot. It's one or the other. So, yeah. So those are the two so far we've talked about. So barriers down. What gratitude can I be here? And the other thing with receiving is the tool that I talk about all the time, but you're going to listen to me talk about it all the time if you listen to me talk, is the interesting point of view. Because when we're not receiving, we're having an interesting point of view. We're choosing to be not interesting point of view. We're choosing to have a judgment. We're choosing to have a point of view. And so we can't receive and have a point of view at the same time. Because if I decide that this is bad weather, actually it's been phenomenal weather, but if I say this is bad weather, it should be sunshiny, shouldn't have rained this morning when there was a sunrise, or there wasn't a sunrise, it wasn't a pretty colored sky sunrise because it rained, that shouldn't have happened, then all of those energies that I could be receiving from, I've now put up those barriers to once again. So if we just go into every point of view with interesting point of view, even that this is beautiful weather, that can be a point of view. Sometimes it's an awareness, but sometimes it's a point of view, because if you get the energetic hit on it, if I'm going, well, this is beautiful weather, it can also have the energy of, if it wasn't like this, it would be bad, type of thing. So, you know, we want to just always be aware of our energy when we're doing these things, because that will give you more information, especially for those of us that have played with the tools from Access Consciousness for a while. Oh boy, because wow, we can really use the tools in a sense against us. We can really be in this space of like, wow, yeah, so it's such a no point of view type of day today, and I mean, I'm being silly, but you get the idea, where we can say the right words, but energetically they don't match. So we always want to pay attention energetically to where we are when we're talking, when we're thinking, when we're out and about. Where are we energetically? Is it light and expansive and yummy, or is it heavy and contractive? And if it's heavy and contractive, we're not receiving. So using any of those three tools, dropping the barriers, interesting point of view, I have this point of view, or what gratitude can I be? What gratitude can I be? I just love that one so much. And gratitude is actually one of the elementals. And I've done various classes on elementals. We'll put a link to some of them below, above, wherever the links may be, and in the show notes too, of course, if you want to check those out. It's so amazing working with and creating magic with the elementals and what's actually possible. Yeah. So have a great week, sweet friends, and I look forward to chatting again next week.